So the first guest on the show, Sara Aston, she'll be talking about anxiety, depression and epilepsy and how it all links together. Hi Sara, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Aww.
So I believe that our topic today with you is going to be anxiety, depression and the coping mechanisms of epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could briefly tell us your story
Okay.
and what you went through.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I will ask questions surrounding that.
Yeah, okay. So I was diagnosed at 24 with epilepsy, and that was after I collapsed on stage. I was touring with a children's theatre company, and I went for endless tests, and then I was eventually diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy, and it's just kind of, well, I've just had to deal with it, really. Yeah, there's been ups and downs. It's affected my confidence in performing, but I'm in my 40s now and I'm kind of just owning it now. So, yeah.
Okay. And what coping mechanisms have you found more effective? And how did you overcome this?
It's taken a while.
Yes.
Because whenever, going back to the seizure on stage, I was always in panic mode when I would go on stage again, thinking it was going to happen again, which caused my anxiety. And I had to take a break from performing on stage. And then I went into a depression because it felt frustrating that I felt like I was being punished from doing something I really, really loved, and there was something holding me back. I just took a break from it, and then I was on medication for a while, and then I got vertigo and ended up in hospital. Came off the medication, then went into this spiral of depression again because I felt like nothing was helping me. I didn't know which way to go. And then I got into my 30s and I was experiencing very tiny seizures in front of a computer, the lights, whatever. Went back to my doctor and he prescribed me Lamictal, which is a medication for temporal lobe epilepsy. And because my previous medication caused me vertigo, which had also caused me the anxiety in between the two types of medication.
Yeah.
So.
And what role has your family and friends played a part in this? How have they supported you? Or did you go through it by yourself?
I went through it by myself. I'm very independent. I just dealt with it. It was a case of it was part of me now. So, and it wasn't until I got to past my 40s that I thought, you know what? I've just got to learn how to manage this myself. There's nobody that can really help me apart from myself.
You tend to adjust to it, really.
Yeah, you have to. Otherwise you won't do anything. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And how has your experience with healthcare providers
Oh.
been? Have they been supportive, or you've been relying on medication, things like that? So do you know what I mean?
I do. My doctor is great. I have an annual appointment that I go to, and we just chat, see if anything has changed. The last couple of years it hasn't really, just that I'm getting older. Now going through the perimenopause, so that might trigger some things. The doctors, they're there in the background. I know I can go to them, and my medication keeps me sane.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And can you describe initial signs of depression and anxiety, and the signs of when you get an epileptic attack?
Yeah. At the moment, recently I've been having them in my sleep, my epileptic fits, which it sounds really mad, but I'm quite happy for that because I know what's happening and I'm able to calm myself down, and then I'm fine. Regarding depression, I feel like I've come out of that black hole. It's something that I left behind. It was something I grew out of. Well, no, that's probably the wrong term, because you know, it's not, you're not weak or anything when you're depressed. It's just how you feel. But I just learned to manage it and just own myself. I think you get, as a woman, or, you know, man or woman, you get to an age where you just think, do you know what, this is me, and I've just got to roll with it.
Yes. But how does anxiety and depression coincide with epilepsy?
Good question. So,
like, is it linked together?
With epilepsy?
Yes.
It can be. So,
okay.
So for me, when I first got diagnosed with epilepsy, I did go into a depression because I felt like I couldn't do anything that I loved doing, like performing. And that really frustrated me, and I just wanted to hibernate. Since then, as I've said, I kind of learned to manage it, just started to be nice to myself, stopped giving myself a hard time. And regarding the anxiety, that's always going to be there, because I'm constantly thinking about the future, always. But I have learned, I'm a comedian as well, so when I go to gigs, I just make sure I enjoy the gigs. And
that's interesting.
And
okay.
and I don't. I go on my own. My husband doesn't come with me. I just make sure the experience I have leading up to the gig and gigging, it's a Sara adventure. That sounds really corny. But it's what gets me through the anxiety. I don't have to worry about anyone worrying about me. So
exactly. Okay, and shall we have a bit of a talk with data and
statistics?
Yeah. So approximately 1/3 people with epilepsy will experience depression at some point in their lives.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I didn't know about the percentage, but I knew it was a thing. I'm on a forum on Facebook for epilepsy, and the amount of people that do get depressed, because epilepsy can knock your confidence. And also people who don't have epilepsy, they're confused. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was having my hair done in a salon, and I mentioned to the lady who was doing my hair that I had epilepsy, and she said, "Oh, well, don't go and have a seizure." And I just thought, I'm not just going to have a seizure. It doesn't work like that. So there's an ignorance, and because there's
people get the wrong impression.
They do. Epilepsy covers a whole spectrum. And that does include depression. And
depression can lead to many things.
Absolutely.
That's how
it's the beginning of so many things.
You know,
it's so true.
And anxiety disorders affect around 20% of individuals with epilepsy, compared to 11% in the general population. That I didn't know either.
Because part of epilepsy can be anxiety as well. Your seizures can be triggered by anxiety. That can cause you an epileptic fit. So it's just a case of just managing your well-being, yourself, and just making sure that you're just being kind to yourself. So
So we've touched on like anxiety, depression, how it coincides with epilepsy, the relationship between all of the three, and is there anything that you want to share or advice or anything that before we wrap up?
I think the only thing I would say, I wish if now I'm 45, I wish I could go back and tell myself when I was in my 20s that it's going to be okay, because I feel like I wasted quite a bit of a chunk of my life just worrying about the fact I had epilepsy. It was sort of becoming my thing. And I think to anyone that's recently been diagnosed, just own it. Just, we've all got our quirks, and that's how I think of epilepsy.
And it's about living with the challenges of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when the world is so modern now, and everyone's open-minded and trying to be, so it can only be it can only be a strength, I think. It's just adds to your quirks. So okay,
that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was Sara's interview on epilepsy. Thank you for watching.